So what's the point? So my point is to state that there's no Lucifer to blame your wrongs on. All right. You can't say the devil made me do it. If you believe God gave you free will, God can't make you do stuff, right? God can't make people do good. God can't make people do bad. So how can the devil, which is less powerful than God, right, make you do anything, good or bad, right? What's up, y'all? This is Tyrell Ferguson-Bey from 1513, and we're going to talk about this Lucifer. Who? Lucifer what? Right? So let me check this out real quick. Make sure we're recording. If y'all can hear this, my neighbors are having a party next door. They got a live band and everything, so I apologize. See, watch. I don't know if y'all can hear that, but I can hear it. But if y'all can hear that, I apologize for the sound. And I've been having a lot of issues with this computer. It's been cutting off on me while I'm recording, but we'll get through it. So that's why I'm checking this right now. So when I record this, I'm not going to do full screen because I think every time I close out a full screen and go to this, it closes out on me. Let me go back. All right. So title of this subject is Lucifer. Who? Right? Lucifer who? Who's this Lucifer? Who's this character that we speak of that, that has, bring fear to the hearts of the people, that makes them do stuff? Who is this character? So we're going to look at the scripture. We're going to see what we're talking about when Lucifer is mentioned in the Bible. We're going to look at the translation because some of the translation says Lucifer, some says morning star. Is it morning star or is it Lucifer? Like, is it both? Is there some meaning that we're missing? I think there's some meaning that we're missing. And we'll look at the morning star, the light bringer, and we'll read the taunt in Isaiah 14:3-22. So this Isaiah 14:3-22 is where pretty much the only verse where the word Lucifer is mentioned. And we're going to go over what the point is of this video. And then we're going to summarize it. So it shouldn't be a long video, but here's the scripture. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? So that's King James Version. You got that old style of speak, right? So Isaiah 14:12 was that verse, right? So Lucifer, son of the morning. So what's the author talking about? So what we're taught is that this is talking about Satan, right? It's talking about how Lucifer was kicked out of heaven and brought down with the angels, kicked out of heaven. And he was a musician. He was trying to be above God. He was being disrespectful. And God kicked him out. Pew! Gone. That's what we're told. And when you try to find that verse in the Bible talking about that story, people point to this verse, right? So what's actually happening? So from my reading, this is a snippet of a poem or a song. It's a taunt, or what I call a diss record, to the king of Babylon. He's like a tyrant. He's killing people. He's ruling with an iron fist. And it's not really being a good leader or a good king. He's being a bad king, a bad leader. And, he's high up. And they're going to sing this song about oh, you was big and bad, now you fell. Right? That's what it's talking about, in my opinion. And it's talking about what's going to come in the future when the king of Babylon falls, right? So let's look at the beginning of that scripture. So that chapter, and it's 14:3, Isaiah 14:3, King James Version, Isaiah 14:3-4. And it shall come to pass that in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from thy hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased and the golden city ceased? All right. So let's look up different translations of this right now. So what's this? Isaiah. Well, I'm at the wrong thing. Isaiah 14. Let's go 4. And like I say, it's a taunt. And say you would take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. You would taunt the king of Babylon. Take up this taunt. You would sing this song of contempt. Like I said, it's a diss record. Take up this taunt. You would take up this proverb. So what I read was it said proverb, because I read the King James version. You take up this you'll sing this song of contempt about the king of Babylon. So if you get the point, it's a song about the king of Babylon that this writer in Isaiah is is singing. You're like, when you get rest from the bed that you just came from, and you're no longer fearful, and you're free from the hard bondage that you were in, you're going to sing this song about the king of Babylon. And that's when it goes into this. And then later in the song, it'll say, how have you fallen from heaven, O morning star, or Lucifer? So Isaiah 12 right here. This is the parallel. I'm on Bible Hub right now. I got this from Bible Hub. And it'll say morning star in the New International Version. New Living Translation says shining star, day star, morning star, star of the morning. King James versions say Lucifer. All right. Other ones say morning star. So what's the proper translation? So we got to look at this in Bible Hub. So let's go here, 14:12. You fallen from heaven, O morning star. And we'll click on Strong's. All right. They're fallen from heaven, O morning star, Lucifer. So O morning star, Hillel, Lucifer, shining one. Right. So we'll click on the Hebrew. Shining one. Transliteration, Hillel. Definition, shining one. A shining one. Star of the morning. All right. Shining one, the epithet of the king of Babylon. What's the epithet? Epithet. Let's click on it. Look it up. An adjective or description, phrase, expression, the quality or character of a person or thing mentioned. All right. Star of the morning, Venus, and we're going to look more into this Venus morning star type thing. All right. So that's Isaiah 12. Again, a lot of morning star, shining star. Only it says Lucifer. Well, it doesn't only say Lucifer in the King James versions. It's another couple versions where it says Lucifer. But where did he get it from? All right. Again, we just looked at the Hillel, the Hebrew. So let's look at the etymology. Etymology, I got this from Etymon online. Look up Lucifer. It'll give you this. Old English. So Old English is approximately the year 1200. Lucifer. So to us, like I said, it means Satan. What it also means is morning star, Venus in the morning sky before the sunrise. Also an epithet of Diana from Latin, Lucifer. So if we look at the Old Testament is written in Hebrew. Lucifer is Latin. It literally means Latin. Lucifer, it means morning star. Use of adjective, literally light bringing. From lux, meaning light, and fer, to carry, to bear. So light bringer, light carrier. All right. That's what Lucifer means. And again, Lucifer is the Hebrew word. The Latin word. Before it was in Hebrew, it said Hillel, like old shining one, old bright one. Right? So the belief that it was the proper name of Satan began with the use in the Bible to translate Greek phosphorus. All right. So before, let's say, the Jews had their text that was written in Hebrew. Then it got translated to Greek in the Septuaginta or Septuagint. And then the Bibles were translated from the Greek to Latin, and then say Latin to English or something like that. But the Greek said phosphorus, 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 or phosphorus, yeah, which means light bringing, morning star, light bearer, morning star. And guess what? The planet Venus, the morning star. All right. So because of the mention of fall from heaven, the verse was interpreted spiritually by the Christians as a reference to Satan even though it literally is reference to the king of Babylon. Isaiah, and we just showed you verse 4. All right. It's sometimes referred to as the day star in some translations. So let's look at this planet Venus, morning star. Like again, we see morning star a lot. Venus, we've seen Venus. So let's actually look at Venus. All right. Let's look at this. I hope you guys can hear this. I think you guys can hear it. I'm going to do this real quick to make sure. Oh no, I'm just going to cut the mic off. All right, so I'm going to play this and we're going to check it out. All right, 1 second. All right, let's look at why the Lucifer is called the light bearer. All right, so we got the sky guide right here. Sky guide. And we're looking at, say, September 7th, 2020 at 06:57. So we're looking at the morning. So let's rewind it a little bit. So, all right, a little bit further. All right. Going early in the day. So try to get the sun out the way. All right, right here. So about 4 in the morning, 4:50 in the morning, you see this Venus right here. And you see this dotted line? That's the sun's path. So Venus, the morning star, or what the ancients called the morning star, what some people now call Lucifer, the light bringer or the light bearer, is bringing up the sun. So we press play. It's going to reverse. We press play. There we go. So it's going to start bringing the sun. So it's the sun bringer or the sun bearer, all right? So that's where that comes from, all right? So let me click out of this, X that. We had the date and the time. Right now, 7:15, sunrise. All right, so let's click on Venus. We go down to the middle of the first paragraph, and it says, it was known, let me see if I can highlight it. It was known by the ancients as the morning star, leading the sun into dawn, or the evening star by following it into dusk. All right. So Venus, that's your light bringer, light bearer, your morning star, aka your Lucifer. All right. Bye. All right. Cool. Hopefully you heard that. So basically what I was showing was Venus is the morning star. It's literally the morning star. It's called Lucifer, or the light bringer, or because it would literally rise right before the sunrise, as you can see in the picture. It's the brightest star in the morning, so it's the morning star, and it would rise before the sunrise, and you could see it, and wherever that was, the sun would soon follow after it. So it seemed like it was pulling the sun along with it. So it's the light bringer, the light carrier. So literally the light bringing, Lucifer, light carrier. From there, well, before that, it's the morning star. Then it got translated to, Greek, phosphorus, and Latin and stuff. So literally, when you're talking about Lucifer, you're talking about the planet Venus, the morning star, all right? The light bringer, the morning star, all right? So let's get that clear, all right? So, and you see that in these verses, how you fallen from heaven, O morning star. All right, you big and bad, you the brightest star now, all of a sudden you fall. Again, it's a diss record. Well, I call it a diss record. All right, so let's check this out. So read Isaiah 14. I should put it, I was going to plan on put a video right there, but let's read it together. So Isaiah 14. Let's just do let's do American Standard Version. All right. For Jehovah will have compassion on Jacob and yet choose Israel and set them on their own land, and the sojourner shall join himself with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place and their house of Israel. In place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Jehovah. For the servants and for handmaids, and they shall take them captive, those captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. All right, talking about the Israelites. And it shall come to pass that in the day that Jehovah, so you're talking about God, shall give thee rest from thy sorrow. So let me switch translations if they got. I don't know if they got the. Yeah, that's fine. I like to read different translations. It shall come to pass at the day that Jehovah shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy trouble and from the hard service wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this parable. Again, it says parable here. Before it said proverb. You've seen it several times it says song. So take up this song, parable, proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? Jehovah has broken the staff of the wicked, the scepter of the rulers, that smote the people in wrath with continual stroke, that ruled the nations in anger with persecution that none restrain. The whole earth is at rest and quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedar trees of Lebanon, saying, since thou lay low, no hewer has come up against us. I think I saw another verse where it's like, since you fell, no one has come up to cut us down, right? So I'll try and find the. Let me see if I can find that out. Let's do Bible Gateway. Gateway. All right. Isaiah 14. 14. All right. Post time. Yeah. And this is amplified version. All right. And even the cypress trees rejoice over you, kings of Babylon. Even the cedar trees of Lebanon, saying, since you were laid low, no wood comes up against us. Shall below is excited about you to meet you when you come, you tyrant of Babylon, Sheol. I think this is a word that means hell. So let's look up Sheol. I don't like to look up stuff that I don't know what it means. I don't like to read past stuff where I don't know what it means. So Hebrew, the underworld, the abode of the dead. So they'll be happy to see you. It stirs up the spirits of the dead to greet you. All of the leaders of the earth, it raises all the kings of the nations from their thrones in astonishment at your fall. Again, they're talking about the kings of Babylon, the king of Babylon. All of them will respond tauntingly and say to you, you have become as weak as we are. You have become like us. Your pomp and magnificence have been brought down to Sheol, along with the music of your harps. Remember, people saying that he was talking, like, I don't know if this is the verse where people think that Lucifer is a musician, but along with the music of your harps, with the maggots which prey on the dead are spread out under you as a bed, and worms are your covering, Babylonian rulers. All right. How have you fallen from heaven, O star of the morning? That's what he said, right? Light bringer, son of the dawn. So it's a song again. And that, how have you fallen from heaven, O morning star? Like it's the brightest star in the sky. It's bringing the sun up, but all of a sudden it fell. So you've been cut down to the ground. You've been weakened, you who have weakened the nations, king of Babylon. But you said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly in the remote parts of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But in fact, you will be brought down to Sheol, right? To the remote recesses of a pit, the region of the dead. Those who see you will gaze at you. They will consider you, saying, is this the man who made earth tremble? Who shook kingdoms? Who made world like the wilderness and overthrew its cities? Who did not permit its prisoners to return home? All the kings of the nations, all of them lie dead in a glorious array, each one in his own scepter. But you, king of Babylon, have been cast out of your tomb, denied burial, rejected like a rejected branch, clothes, clothed and slain, who are pierced by the sword, who go down to the stones of the pit, into which carcasses are thrown, like a dead body trampled underfoot. You will not be united with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land. You have slain your people. May the descendants of evildoers never be named, right? So may your children never be named. Prepare the slaughtering place for his sons, because the wickedness, the sin, injustice, the wrongdoing of their fathers, they must not rise and take possession of the earth and fill the face of the world with cities. I will rise up against them, says the Lord of hosts, and I will cut them off from Babylon's name and survivors, and the son and grandson, declares the Lord. I will also make Babylon a possession of the hedgehog and of the swamps of water, and I will sweep it away with the broom of destruction, declares the Lord of hosts. So again, all of this, that you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon and say, you'll say all of this indented stuff that we just read. And you will do that in the day the Lord gives you rest from your pain, turmoil, and from the hard service you've been enslaved. And you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. So this is all talking about the king of Babylon. You can hear the creative thought when the trees are talking. You're like, hey, since you fell, no one come to cut us down. Like, everyone's talking about this, even the trees. So again, it's a song, it's a taunt, it's a diss record to me. So I say it's a diss record. But that's what it's talking about, and it's against the king of Babylon. It's very creative, right? So what's the point? What's the point of me reading this and saying that, hey, the Lucifer is the morning star, is actually Venus, right? It's a bright star. It's not Lucifer, a entity that's fallen to heaven. It's the star that's always up in the morning, but hey, artistically, you all of a sudden fell. Like, imagine that. Like, you big and bright, but now you fell. Like, oh, is this the man that shook the world? So what's the point? So my point is to state that there's no Lucifer to blame your wrongs on. All right, you can't say the devil made me do it. If you believe God gave you free will, God can't make you do stuff, right? God can't make people do good. God can't make people do bad. So how can the devil, which is less powerful than God, right, make you do anything, good or bad, right? To me, everybody's God. Everybody's a son of God, a child of God. Let us make them in our image, right? Let us make them in our image and likeness. So we're supposed to be like God. We're supposed to do the things that are God-like, that are godly, right? And we're supposed to avoid the things that are, worldly, fleshly, exact, So if you're God, you operate in your God self, your higher self. I do more science. And in more science, we talk about our higher self. Like, you're supposed to operate in your higher self or higher vibration. You're supposed to do the good things. If you operate in your lower self, right, you're being Satan. You are being the devil, right? It's not someone that you can point the finger. If you're looking for your devil, it's on the inside. You're looking for God, it's in your heart, right? So you do the deeds of your father, according to John 8. You do what your father does. So if you're following your father God, you're doing godly things. So you would appear to be as God, right? You appear to be good. But if you're doing the things that are not of God, the things of the devil, right? Of the devil, that's you in your lower self. So you have a higher self and your lower self. Like in cartoons, they have a red man and like an angel, right? That's all you. They both have the same face. It's your face. So which face are you going to put on, right? You're going to put on your God self or your devil self. There's no one to point the finger at. You point the finger at yourself, right? No one to blame for your decisions. Everything you do, good or bad, it's your heart's own desires. Romans 1:24, he abandoned them to their own desires. God abandoned them. Like, all right, do what you want to do, right? You do what you want to do. People do what they want to do. Gods do what they want to do. You are gods. You could say little g. Like, I know there's a creator. I didn't create the universe, but you create the circumstances in your life, right? You're a creator, right? So you create those certain circumstances. create bad circumstances by the actions you take. You create good circumstances by the actions you take, good or bad, right? And you can lead yourself out of, certain predicaments by the actions you take. So if you're sitting there making excuses, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, you're not operating in your God self. You can do anything, right? They say, I can do all things by Christ who strengthens me. I can do all things, right? If you can do all things, do all things. Recognize that Christ is within you. Recognize that God is within you, right? But if you choose to do bad things, you choose to do bad things. There's no devil made me do it. You made you do it. So if you're operating in your lower self, okay, that's you. So God's law is written on your hearts. You already know right from wrong. So do right. You already know, like you don't need, it says it, was it? I put Romans 2:15. Like certain people don't need the law. Some people used to say like, oh, you need the church because the church lets you know morality. Like you don't need to go to church to know that murdering someone is wrong, right? If you don't want it to happen to you, you know it's wrong. Don't do it to somebody else. Simple. It's written on your hearts. So if you choose to do it, that's on you. If you're destructive and all that stuff, that's on you. So that's the point. That's what I'm trying to say. It's nobody to point the finger at, oh, Lucifer made me do it. God made me do it. It's an evil spirit. Yeah. Your desires make you want to do it. Your desires make you want to run out on your spouse. Your desires make you want to punch somebody in the face. Your desires make you want to do good. So it's up to you. It's all your desires. So if you're overtaken by your desires, it's exactly what you wanted to do, even if it's bad. So it's up to you to fix and up to you to be in your higher self to push those desires down. Say, hey, even though I want to do that, I'm not going to do it because it's wrong. I know it's wrong. So I'm not going to do it. That's the faith that you have. That's what it's called. I forget what it's called, divine persuasion, right? So you hear something, like you don't have to hear it outwardly, but you're doing something you ain't supposed to do, and you hear something like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that. And then you actually listen to it. That's faith. That's, okay, I shouldn't be doing this. No, this might happen. That's divine persuasion. That's what faith is, all right? It's not knowing what's right and wrong and not acting on it, right? So there's no devil. There's no one to blame but yourself for negativity. So you make your life, right? It's up to you. God gave you power. God gave you strength. God gave you everything you need to live a good life. There's no excuse. The only excuse is you don't want to do it. The only excuse is you want to do something else. You want to walk this way and not God's way, right? So that's all I want to say. That's the point. The Lucifer is talking about is Venus, the planet Venus, the morning star that will eventually fall. It's artistic creation, the king of Babylon that will eventually fall, right? And eventually did fall. So that's all that's talking about. There's nothing to fear, nothing to be scared of. It's all you. You take control of your life and you do the things you need to do to be successful and do good in your life and help others. And you'll live a godly, godlike life. You do the other things, you'll bring hell on yourself. All right. That's all I got to say. And that's the point of this. All right. So when Lucifer is mentioned, it's talking about the king of Babylon, not necessarily Satan, but it's interpreted to be Satan in the scriptures because it said it fell from heaven. But they're actually talking about the king of Babylon falling. And it's artistic that the brightest star would fall. Like, oh, you're so bright, you're so big and bad. But now you fell. So Lucifer literally means light bringer, light farer, Lucifer, right? And that means the bringer of light or the morning star. Venus is the morning star. Chapter Isaiah is a creative writing, a creative chapter. The chapter Isaiah 14 will mess this up. Is a creative taunt from the Israelites to the king of Babylon. Israelites to the king of Babylon. If you look for good, if you look for God within, if you look for God within, he's within. If you're looking for God, he's within your heart. If you look for Satan, or he's within, right? Everything you do is a desire of your heart. No one, unless someone's putting a gun to your head, no one's making you do anything. Everything you do is of your own free will. God gave you free will. You're choosing to do these things. The devil didn't make you do it, right? The things you're tempted to do are the things you want to do that you have not said no to. So if you see a pretty lady over there or something like that, and you want to go talk to her knowing that you shouldn't, right? That's because you want to do it. The devil didn't whisper in your ear and say, hey, talk to her. Your desires told you to go talk to her. And it's up to you to tell that desire no, right? To tell yourself, no, I'm not going over there. Not for you to be like, oh, hello, the devil made me do it. Nah, that's you. You made you do it. You chose to do it. You operate in your lower self. That's on you. Hey. But so again, there's no one to blame your choices on. I just use that as an example. So, but that's it. So Lucifer, who is this Lucifer? It's the planet Venus. So you made you do it. Again, I say you made you do it. Devil didn't make you do anything. All right. And that's all I got for you guys. This is Tyrell, Ferguson-Bey from 1513, and I am out. Talk to you guys later. Bye.